This video is brought to you by PrizePicks. All right. We got an alert. The Browns selection at 149 is in, and they're going to take Justin Jefferson, Alabama linebacker again. So Alabama players back-to-back for the Cleveland Browns. Justin Jefferson. I literally, ironically enough, we just talked about this, right? Some teams, some positions, you give them a lot of leeway. When it comes to the Cleveland Browns, I'm going to give a lot of leeway to them at linebacker. Don't really know much about Justin Jefferson except for he has the same name as the wide receiver. But if Jason Tarver likes him and he thinks he could turn him into something, then I'm willing to work with that. That seems fine to me, right? Like Tarver's reputation as a developer, as a linebacker coach, if he thinks there's something there, then there might be something there, and we're going to let him cook there. So that's the selection at 149. We'll get more analysis on that in just a second as we wait for more picks to come in. Hey, let me talk to you about my sponsor for this year, PrizePicks. It's a fun way to win cash while you're watching your favorite teams. Forget complex betting rules. Their app is designed to be incredibly easy to use. Just pick more or less on a few player stats and lock in your lineup. Speaking of, here are my picks for this upcoming NFL season. They have Myles Garrett at 14 sacks here. I think he will get more than 14 sacks. Joe Burrow at 3,875 passing yards. I think he'll be a 4,000-yard passer. I'm going to go with more. They have Derrick Henry at 1,224 yards. I'm going to go less than that. Check to see if PrizePicks is available in your state. You can follow me on the app at KWEN_C to see all of my lineups. Download the PrizePicks app today. Play $5 and get $50 in lineups when you download the app using the link in the description. Let's transition into the next pick. Yes, the Cleveland Browns got Justin Jefferson. And if you don't know, I'm on with Mac Robinson and 92.3 The Fan. Justin Jefferson, I mean, like, it's a coup, to get a all-pro Hall of Fame quality wide receiver in the 5th round. Apparently the Browns are going to play him at linebacker. Yeah, how do you think that project's going to go, turning Justin Jefferson into a linebacker?
You know what? I mean, I'll just say this. I'm so happy that we don't have to see the Greg Newsome celebrating the first down, and instead we can have a linebacker that can hit the gritty. So yeah, I think that'll translate really well. And out of anything, man, I mean, he did say that, he was happy that they have legitimate quarterback play coming in there in Minnesota. And so I think that, for Justin Jefferson, he's going to be excited to see to go back to what he saw last year, maybe a little bit in Cleveland. But at least when it comes to linebacker play, he's going to be able to get plenty of interceptions. So I think that opens up a lot of things for Carson Schlesinger and everybody across the defense.
Yeah, I wonder if they play him like a safety. But in all seriousness, Justin Jefferson, the linebacker from Alabama, I think we're going to have a lot of fun over in camp using that. It was like the year we had A.J. Green, and there was also a Lamar Jackson corner, right? It's going to be fun.
We do love just having all of the namesake players, but not the actual player.
Yeah, it's hilarious, right? I thought A.J. Green was actually decent for the Browns, like when he was there.
I agree with that, actually.
But they get Justin Jefferson. There's always a clone name in every draft. I don't know how it happens. Something's wrong with the algorithm. But Justin Jefferson here, linebacker. My take on this is I don't care if I don't know that much about Justin Jefferson at linebacker. I kind of just trust the linebacker coach at this point. I think Tarver has earned the benefit of the doubt here. And if Tarver's like, hey, I could turn this guy into something, we should use a 5th round pick on him, I'm more than willing to do that.
Well, and to even add on to that as well, Corey Kinnan had tweeted out his write up of and his profile of Jefferson, and had even mentioned like just the overall grade right now isn't necessarily super high. I want to say he had him around like a 6.2 off the top of my head, but like the potential was very high for him, and he has a lot of great athleticism. But it's just the rest putting that together. And when it comes to players that fit for that linebacker room and for that coach in particular, that's one that I'm like, I am willing to bet on those traits, because it just seems like whoever the hell you put in that linebacker room is going to be maximized by Jason Tarver. Again, probably the best linebacker coach in the NFL. When it comes to maximizing those guys and really turning guys around in particular, because and I know I talked about this with Kolb earlier today. We were talking on the phone, and we were talking about the fact that this linebacker room, you added in Quincy Williams, but the fact that you really haven't replaced Mahmoud Diabate yet. Like there's you have Jerome Baker that hit free agency. There's a lot of room to add in guys that are back end of the roster players that could actually make a bit of an impact even on special teams. And really kind of allow them to develop in that room in particular under Jason Tarver and really maximize some of these younger guys.
Yeah, and it's the playbook for Tarver. I mean, like it's amazing. Like I'm still not used to the fact that the Browns have had continuity here on some levels for a very long time, right? Like Tarver's been here since the beginning of the Barry era, right? Like he was here with Kevin at the start, wasn't he? He was retained.
That is correct.
He was retained from the Joe Woods staff, which ended up being a great thing. I remember talking about Tarver possibly being the interim defensive coordinator. They had to fire Joe Woods during the season. But Tarver, he's had this playbook since he's gotten there where it's like, hey, you give me an athlete who can run and hit in space, I can turn him into a Sam linebacker. And that recipe has only gotten easier to replicate for him as the Browns have gotten better on the defense. And now the Browns have this defense where it's incredibly easy to play linebacker for, right? We saw Carson Schlesinger jump in and then play extremely well year one. Somebody like Devin Bush, right, who struggled in his NFL career for a lot of time, comes to Cleveland, all of a sudden finds his instincts, right? Because it's real easy to play linebacker in Cleveland. We have the defensive tackles. We have Myles Garrett. We got good corners. You're not putting too much stress at the linebacker position, and he has consistently churned out these kind of guys, right? Sione Takitaki. This is the one factory we have where it's like, yeah, I don't think I want to sign Cleveland's linebacker because obviously it works for Cleveland. It doesn't work for anybody else. Because like Takitaki left, we thought that would like, I don't know where he went, but I don't think he's in the league anymore.
He went to New England.
Yeah. So it's like, they have a factory there at linebacker. And sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, right? There's some picks that they've had at linebacker that haven't worked out. But, for every Jacob Phillips, there's a Mahmoud Diabate that could be on the roster for a couple of years and fill up a UDFA spot. If there's a plan for him, maybe it works out. The athleticism turns into something. There's some upside there. I think giving Jason what he wants, it's the 5th round, right? It's not guaranteed to work out. It's likely to not work out. But if it does,
even Tony Fields is somebody that they took in the first year that he was here. AB took Tony Fields in round 5, and he had been here up until the last 2 seasons, I think, as a core special teamer on this in this group in particular. And on top of that, you mentioned Diabate. The other one too that was a little underrated in terms of him missing the majority of the season last year was Winston Reed. Mm-hmm. And again, a very heavy hitter, and honestly, he's somebody that I could see them kind of utilizing in that fullback role that they used to bring him in on the goal line, at least under Stefanski. Maybe they go ahead and do the same type of thing this year with him as well, but at the same time, like having somebody like Winston Reed, who's a great special teamer, the fact that he got ejected in that preseason game in Seattle 2 years ago is still outrageous to me. But between him and, again, like allowing allowing Tarver to have somebody that has these tools and can grow into something, I think is something that's very interesting. And again, anytime that Jason Tarver gives the stamp of that's a guy that I want, I'm going to listen and I'm going to just assume that it's going to work out.
Yeah, it
At
could,
least under Jason Tarver.
it could work out. I mean, like, he's had some misses, right? The Bookie Watson thing didn't work, turn into anything. You know what I mean? And this is probably the replacement for Bookie Watson. And look, he's going to play special teams, and that's been an area of concern for this team, right? And who knows, man? Maybe this was a special teams coach pick. You know, it could be somebody saying, "Hey, look, I need some hitters on special teams," and maybe that's where he goes. There's a lot of different uses. Again, like I think we mentioned this yesterday. Offensive linemen and linebackers, if you take a surplus of them, I'm never really going to complain because it's like you can never have too many offensive linemen. And you can never have too many linebackers because linebackers can easily translate to special teams, right? And this team did struggle in special teams, and that's kind of an underrated part of this draft. You know, we haven't really talked about it or focused on it, but they've improved special teams with this draft too. Like, they got a legitimate punt returner, and they talked about it in the press conference. Casey's going to return punts for him, right? And probably kicks. So that's going to be in the cards for him in year one at least. Then he's probably
also don't forget Denzel Boston actually was a honorable mention as a return specialist for the Big Ten last year as well. So he has some ability in there. Obviously, you mentioned it with KC. That's going to be a dynamic difference. Again, we haven't had a kick return for a touchdown since Josh Cribbs did it in 2009 against Kansas City. And we haven't had a punt return for a touchdown since 2022.
Yeah, so you're getting some like legitimate playmakers there. I think Denzel Boston, I think he's going to be underrated in his ability to be on the defensive side of special teams. Like, I think he's going to be very, very willing to make that contact, make that physical contact there a little bit. So, you know, you address that. I mean, you got Isaiah Bond too, you know, so like the punt return conversation has gotten dramatically less sad. Last year we were talking about what was it, Carter we were throwing out there? Like, it was just like, what are we doing? You know what I mean? So the special teams has been addressed. The offense has been addressed. They still got, 3 more picks here? But
yes,
they take Justin Jefferson. It's an athletic swing at a linebacker. I can't be too mad at it. If it works out, then, hey, that's awesome. For like 5th-round picks too, because I know it's changed. Online, people are valuing 5th-round picks more, but in the NFL, 5th-round picks are 7th-round picks nowadays. Right? I think Andrew Berry literally said this in his press conference. And
Chandler Rivers going to Baltimore there. Don't like that at all.
So it's like,
sorry,
if we think about a 5th-round pick like a 7th-round pick, then we start to get our expectations kind of more in line with the reality there. And if he turns into something, any 5th-round pick you get anything from is awesome. If he turns into nothing, then that's probably what you expected. So part, of course, there.
Well, I mean, and also let's also factor in too. You know, every year it feels like the Browns are a serious player in terms of the undrafted free agent market. You know, Jimmy Haslam has been just basically say to Barry, whatever you need financially to make it work. And again, you mentioned AJ Green. He was another one that was that they gave a massive bag to right after the draft. Between him, you also had Diabate that they paid a good amount to. You know, they always have a few of those guys that they basically pay as along a similar value as a 6th rounder. Oh yeah, you did mention Bond. Yeah. But between 5th or 6th round value usually for a contract, they're willing to pay that out to those guys in order to bring those guys in. So I also think that them having a couple of these picks is interesting, at least being able to, take some of these guys off the board, maybe somebody like a Riley Nowakowski, who could be a potential H-back, but being able to take some of those guys and then still factoring in that they usually kill it when it comes to the undrafted free agent market. So I think that this is going to be a very interesting approach that they've had. And I'm fascinated to see the undrafted free agent crew that they also bring in on top of this. to see how they attack that and how they bring in some of these guys.
Absolutely. But Justin Jefferson, the newest Cleveland Brown.